Have you poured a famous whiskey brand and wonder why people love it? Americans drink over 60 million cases of bourbon, Scotch, and Irish whiskey every year, but not all deserve the hype. Today, we're ranking 15 of the best whiskey brands in the US, from bottom shelf regrets to bottles truly worth your pour. Let's get into it. 15 Seagram's 7 Crown, born in the 1930s and built for the soda gun. Seagram's 7 Crown is the whiskey equivalent of a polite handshake present, functional but completely forgettable. The light caramel color and faint vanilla sweetness suggest potential, but one sip reminds you, this isn't a sipping whiskey, it's a mixer's best friend. In a 7 and 7, it does its job smooth, sweet, and harmless. But neat? The flavors vanish like carbonation in a warm cola. Its fame comes from nostalgia and accessibility. Every dive bar in America has a dusty bottle waiting behind the counter, and older drinkers swear by it out of habit, not flavor. The truth is, Seagram's 7 represents an era when whiskey meant volume, not character. It's affordable, ubiquitous, and easy to drink. But in a ranking about taste, that's exactly why it starts at the bottom. 14. Dewar's White Label. For more than a century, Dewar's White Label has been the definition of smooth. It's the Scotch you meet at weddings, corporate events, and airport lounges, polished, agreeable, and thoroughly unmemorable. With notes of honey, grain, and soft heather, it glides over the palate like background music you didn't ask for. To its credit, Dewar's built its empire on consistency. It's the Scotch your uncle orders because it's reliable. But in that reliability lies its flaw: it never surprises you. The flavor sits in neutral. The malt and smoke feel dialed down to please everyone and impress no one. Its drinkers are loyal, though men who've been calling for Dewar's and soda since the Reagan years. It's not bad, just safe. But when flavor takes a backseat to smoothness, you end up with a whiskey that's all etiquette, no excitement. 13. Johnnie Walker Red Label. Few bottles are more recognizable than that striding man. Johnnie Walker Red Label is a global icon, the whiskey you'll find in every duty-free shop and hotel minibar from Chicago to Shanghai. Its flavor, youthful grain, pepper, and a spark of smoke that disappears faster than the ice melts. It's built for mixing ginger ale, cola, soda water, and anything to tame its sharpness. Its fame is earned through marketing mastery. Keep walking became more than a slogan, it was a lifestyle. Red Label's drinkers aren't chasing complexity. They want something that looks good on the shelf and doesn't start fights at the bar. Still, underneath the branding is a whiskey that feels rushed, a blend that prioritizes global scale over craftsmanship. It's a legend in sales, not in flavor. 12. Jim Beam White Label. Jim Beam is the blue-collar heartbeat of American whiskey. Born from 7 generations of Kentucky distillers, it's not trying to be fancy. It's trying to be dependable. With aromas of vanilla, toasted oak, and peanut shell, it's easy to see why it's in nearly every bar and grocery shelf in the country. The taste? Mildly sweet, light on spice, and gone before you realize you took a sip. Beam built its fame not through flavor explosions, but through identity. It's the bottle for sports nights, cookouts, and first legal shots. It doesn't demand respect, but it's earned it. Critics call it flat, loyalists call it comfort. And that's the paradox. Beam isn't trying to impress whiskey snobs. It's here for people who want to pour without thinking. That consistency, even at the expense of boldness, keeps it comfortably near the middle of the pack. 11. Evan Williams Black Label. If Jim Beam is the everyman's bourbon, Evan Williams is the quiet overachiever sitting right beside it. This bottle delivers more than its price promises. A whiff of caramel, oak, and baking spice gives it unexpected depth for a whiskey that costs less than some bar cocktails. It's not refined, but it's real. Evan Williams doesn't ride on nostalgia or celebrity. It wins on merit. The flavor holds longer, the finish lingers, and the burn feels honest. It's the bourbon that bartenders recommend when someone says, "I want something good but not expensive." The brand may not have a flashy image, but it's quietly carved out a reputation as the best affordable bourbon in America. When a bottle punches above its weight like this, you can't help but raise a glass. 10. Jack Daniel's Old No. 7. Jack Daniel's isn't just whiskey, it's a cultural institution. From rock concerts to biker rallies, it's been the Black Label badge of rebellion for generations. Its Tennessee charcoal mellowed process gives it that signature sweetness: banana bread, charcoal smoke, and vanilla. Though some call it syrupy, others call it perfect. Either way, it's unmistakably Jack. Old No. 7 dominates not because it's the best whiskey, but because it feels like America in a bottle. Elvis drank it. Sinatra demanded it. Every music video and movie bar seems to have it. But when stripped of mythology, it's a simple whiskey with a soft edge and light bite. More about attitude than nuance. The drinkers love it for what it represents: independence, familiarity, and a smooth pour that doesn't make you think too hard. For that alone, it earns its place in the top 10. Before we climb higher up the list, let's make a deal. If you've ever argued with a friend over which whiskey actually deserves the hype, hit that like button and subscribe for more brutally honest rankings like this one. It costs nothing, keeps the channel alive, and tells us to keep pouring truth, one bottle at a time. 9. Bulleit Bourbon. You've seen that rugged bottle, thick glass, slanted label, copper orange glow, sitting proudly on every bar shelf from Nashville to New York. Bulleit Bourbon is the drinker's paradox, a whiskey that looks craft but belongs to a giant conglomerate. Its frontier whiskey image sells freedom, dust, and rebellion, even though it's distilled in clean Kentucky modernity. Flavor-wise, it lives up to the branding. Sharp rye spice, dried orange peel, a flash of caramel, and a dry finish that hits like a cowboy's handshake. It's bold but not deep, designed for cocktails more than contemplation. Bartenders love it because it behaves, reliable in old fashions, sharp enough for Manhattans, and never overpowering. Bulleit built its empire on aesthetics and approachability. It's the bottle that says, "I know whiskey," even if you're just dipping your toes in. Its high rye bite and photogenic bottle made it a bar program staple. But behind the leather and lawlessness marketing, it's corporate whiskey done well. Professional, consistent, and just adventurous enough to keep your palate curious. 8. Crown Royal. Crown Royal isn't just whiskey, it's nostalgia in purple velvet. Born in 1939 as a gift to the King and Queen of England on their Canadian tour, it's since become America's favorite imported whiskey. From dive bars to rap lyrics, Crown Royal reigns not because of its complexity, but because of its smoothness. Pour it and you'll find a golden body, hints of vanilla, brown sugar, and light oak. It's like dessert disguised as whiskey. Critics call it too soft, but that's exactly why it dominates. It's whiskey for everyone, not just whiskey drinkers. Whether mixed with cola or sipped over ice, it rarely offends. Crown's secret weapon isn't the liquid, it's the feeling. The iconic velvet bag is a symbol. Luxury without the price tag. From hip-hop shout-outs to football sponsorships, Crown Royal sells prestige for the people. It might not blow away connoisseurs, but in terms of cultural dominance and approachability, few bottles come close to its royal reach. 7. Glenfiddich 12. For millions of Americans, Glenfiddich 12 was their first introduction to real Scotch. The green bottle, stag logo, and honeyed aroma made it feel exotic yet friendly, like shaking hands with the Highlands themselves. Founded in 1887, Glenfiddich's family-run heritage still seeps through each drop, even as it sells millions of cases worldwide. Its flavor is classic Speyside: green apple, pear, and soft malt sweetness balanced with a whisper of oak. Nothing here screams complexity. Instead, it hums gently. It's smooth enough for beginners, nuanced enough for veterans to respect. That balance made Glenfiddich 12 the gateway malt. The bottle you gift to dads, bosses, or yourself when you start caring about what's in your glass. Culturally, it's everywhere from airport lounges to whiskey tastings, serving as a bridge between mass-market blends and the single malt elite. Some dismiss it as too tame, but that's missing the point. Glenfiddich's magic is that it's reliable sophistication. Every pour tastes like the first time you felt grown up ordering Scotch neat. 6. Woodford Reserve. If whiskey had a tuxedo, it would be Woodford Reserve. Born in the rolling limestone hills of Kentucky, this small batch bourbon represents the polished side of Southern tradition. Its copper stills and heritage distillery make it the go-to bottle for derby parties, cigar lounges, and upscale bars that like to show they know their craft. Take a sip and you'll find caramel, orange peel, cocoa, and roasted oak dancing in harmony. The mouthfeel is silky, the finish long and warming. It's not experimental. It's composed, balanced, and proud of it. Woodford doesn't shout, it speaks smoothly. In the glass, it's a perfect diplomat. Elegant enough for whiskey aficionados, soft enough for newcomers. Its place in American drinking culture is almost ceremonial. This is one of the top bourbons that reminds you good whiskey doesn't need gimmicks, just care, time, and patience. It's luxury that feels earned, not advertised. 5. Four Roses. Four Roses doesn't chase trends, it defines them quietly. Long before small batch became marketing gold, Four Roses was already experimenting with 10 distinct recipes and 2 mash bills to achieve its unmistakable balance. While the rest of the bourbon world screamed louder, Four Roses whispered, and the real drinkers listened. Its flavor tells a love story between spice and sweetness, floral rye notes, honey, toffee, and a slow-building warmth that ends with a clean finish. Every sip feels layered but never heavy. It's bourbon made for thinking, not for flexing. Four Roses' reputation grew through word of mouth, not ad campaigns. Whiskey geeks respect it. Bartenders trust it. It doesn't rely on nostalgia or celebrity faces, just craftsmanship. In a market obsessed with hype bottles and inflated prices, Four Roses remains the quiet craftsman that proves excellence doesn't have to shout. 4. Wild Turkey 101. Of course, you must find Wild Turkey 101 on almost every whiskey ranking. When a whiskey proudly prints its proof on the label, it's telling you something. This isn't for tourists. Wild Turkey 101 is bourbon in its purest American form. Bold, unapologetic, and built to kick a little. Distilled under the watch of legendary master distiller Jimmy Russell, this bottle has fueled campfire stories, country songs, and more hangovers than anyone will admit. The flavor comes in swinging, cherry and cinnamon up front, rich caramel in the middle, oak and heat in the finish. There's bite, but there's also balance. That's the magic of 101. It punches above its price without ever losing its manners. It's the whiskey you can sip slow or mix fast, and it always stands tall. Wild Turkey's reputation was built not by marketing, but by loyalty. Old school drinkers love it because it never sold out. Bartenders love it because it holds its flavor in a cocktail. New drinkers discover it and realize what bourbon should taste like. It's not refined, it's real. And sometimes real is perfect. 3. Jameson Irish Whiskey. Ask any bartender what the most ordered shot in America is, and odds are they'll say Jameson. The emerald bottle, gold cap, and unmistakable smoothness have made it the unofficial currency of friendship at bars everywhere. Born in Dublin in 1780, Jameson has spent centuries perfecting the art of being easy to drink. Triple distilled for that signature smoothness, it greets you with green apple, vanilla, and toasted grain. There's no smoke, no fire, just clean, balanced Irish charm. It doesn't demand your attention, it wins it by being effortless. Whether paired with beer in a Boilermaker or enjoyed neat on a slow evening, Jameson feels like conversation in liquid form. Its fame isn't built on luxury or elitism, it's built on community. From college bars to St. Patrick's Day parades, Jameson's role isn't to impress, but to connect. In a world full of loud, high-proof contenders, it's the quiet one that always gets invited back. 2. Buffalo Trace. The word allocation has become a trigger among whiskey lovers, and Buffalo Trace is partly to blame. Once a modest Kentucky bourbon, it's now the brand everyone's chasing. Not because it's trendy, but because it delivers where it counts. When you finally get your hands on a bottle at retail price, it feels like striking gold. The first sip tells you why. Brown sugar and orange peel lead into caramel, oak, and a faint touch of tobacco. The texture is creamy, the finish long and clean. It's not the strongest, it's not the rarest, but it might be the most balanced bourbon in America. There's harmony here, a kind of elegance that feels timeless. Buffalo Trace's fame grew organically through word of mouth. It became the gateway whiskey for collectors, the bottle that opened the door to Pappy Van Winkle, Eagle Rare, and Blanton's. Yet it never forgot its roots. Despite the hype, this remains a working man's masterpiece, priced for the shelf but built for legacy. If you find it, buy it, twice. 1. Maker's Mark. That red wax drip is iconic. You can spot it across the room. Bright, bold, and perfectly simple. Maker's Mark isn't the most expensive bourbon, or the rarest, but it may be the most beloved. Since its birth in 1953, it stood for quality without pretension. The top bourbon your dad trusts, your date likes, and your bartender respects. The secret lies in the wheat. Instead of rye, Maker's uses soft winter wheat in its mash, giving it that signature round sweetness caramel, vanilla, baking spice, and a smooth, buttery finish. Every bottle tastes like a handshake from Kentucky. It's warm, honest, and easy to love. Maker's Mark built its legend not with hype, but with heart. The hand-dipped wax seal, the handwritten label, the promise that every drop is crafted with care, all of it feels authentic. Whether you drink it neat, on the rocks, or in an old-fashioned, it never disappoints. In a world obsessed with limited editions and impossible-to-find bottles, Maker's Mark remains the gold standard of accessible excellence. That's why it takes the crown. And that's our whiskey ranking. From the bottom shelf burners to the bottles we're savoring. But we're just getting started. Want us to tackle vodka, rum, or tequila next? Drop your pick in the comments, hit like, and subscribe so you don't miss the next pour. Your favorite spirit might be up next. Comes to whiskey, the argument is half the fun.